We pick up Trigun at the town, which had previously tried using a grenade on Vash in their desperate attempt to bring him in dead or alive. Now they're throwing a party in his honor. You know, if all attempts on his life ended this way, it'd probably be better. Still, Merle thinks that with all the trouble that follows him around, this world might be better off without him. Which sounds rather ungrateful for what he did here specifically, plus all the times that he saved their lives. And it seems rather in bad form to say of the guest of honor, yeah, you know what? I kind of wish he was never born. At the other end of the spectrum, the grateful people of the town bring a couple of sex workers in for Vash, who are disappointed to find him passed out from all the drinking. Not often you get to really enjoy your work, and then you have that happen. Weirdest thing of all, though, Vash, the guy who acted like a dog over a woman, who is quite willing to peek through windows to see them naked, is only pretending to be sleeping here. Boy, if it turns out he's actually gay, well played for playing the long game, Vash. The next morning he quietly slips away onto the sand steamer to try to avoid any complicated goodbyes.
All right! At long last I am finally on my own again!
A man who can clearly take care of himself. Vash finds an area of the floor to rest in, but someone swings by.
We're about to go into Lottenberg Canyon.
Yeah, and?
You have heard of it, haven't you? It's the turf of the biggest, baddest, most notorious gang around. The Bad Lad Thieves.
Naturally, such facts would neither alter our route nor convince us to hire more security. We're not really fans of planning ahead. He's here because he wants to hire Vash to be their security. Not because it will correct this gross oversight, but so he can charge double using Vash's name. Vash turns him down. He just wants to get where he's going, not deal with people on this train getting in his face. Boy, the passenger accommodations on this thing are just awful. Vash pulls this kid out and concludes he's a stowaway, and the kid agrees, and like some kind of train-hopping Rumpelstiltskin, manages to spin bullshit into gold. Some story about being an orphan with nasty relatives, and Vash completely buys it. So he goes to get food for him and the kid, only to find Millie and Merle working the counter in order to pay their fare. The things they have to do to follow him. Oh well, luckily Vash has money for his ticket and this food, but it's worth it, you know, just to see that look of gratitude. But at least he's made a friend.
It'll be bright soon enough.
And what's a little rohypnol between friends? The kid slips away because he's up to something, and sure enough, we see the gathered members of the gang talking about how he's setting things up for them. And then sure enough, the kid signals to let them know it's ready and where to find them. So they roll out in cars that look like full-size versions of those that were used by the bomber in the Grey Ghost episode of Batman. Turns out the kid has been setting up gas bombs to take out the crews manning the defenses, so they're free to blast their way inside and mow down those defenders who are still standing.
Are the magnificent Dreadnought Raiders. I, leader of the Bad Lads, personally trained them. Brilliant Dynamite's Neon now emerges to take over.
Yeah, this guy's got grandstanding written all over him.
Now, my friends, it's harvest time. What glitters on this ship belongs to me.
Grandstanding with a great deal of fabulous sprinkled on top. The kid is ready and waiting, here to take him to where the good stuff is. After the bumper, Vash has a dream with Rem in it, the person he'd mentioned before, laughing and talking about choosing our own destinies. We all get to choose our own destinies, she says. Frankly, the way things have been going lately, I'm convinced that choice is like 3-card Monty. He wakes up crying, no doubt feeling the same way that I do, but he's got no time for tears because one of the bandits breaks into his room. Fortunately, he doesn't spot Vash on the grounds that he looks left and right in the dark and concludes that because he can't see anyone, there must be no one here. Yes, that bad guy is real proud of the fruits of that training, isn't he? Speaking of which, the bad guy, who the more I look at him, the more he looks like a Mad Max character who once was in a marching band. He takes the jewelry of the rich clientele, but knows that there is more, and they find a nice big vault. Except it can't be opened. It requires a key, which isn't here, plus a combination, which isn't known by anyone here. Well, not to worry, the boss has a plan to crack open the piggy bank. Run this thing off the side of a cliff.
At least let me release the passengers. Please, sir.
We risked our lives to get here. It's only fair that you should be expected to risk your lives, too.
Look, I'm willing to risk my life for me to be rich, so you should be willing to risk your life for me to be rich. Merle and Millie seem to realize how screwed they are, and Merle is forced to admit that in this situation, Vash is probably the one with the best chance to get them out of this. He's trying to die hard this, but the vents are a little small for him. Well, he's going to have to hurry. There's only one person brave enough to try and use the brake despite the threats of getting murdered, and turns out if this guy makes threats, he follows through on them. Boy's my face red. I was sure that guy was all talk. The kid is brought in before the body's even cold, but while he knows a lot about this vehicle, steering isn't on that list of things. The boss explains why he needs to be able to steer it, though. How else is he supposed to crash this thing off a cliff?
I'll do anything you want. I'll do anything you want, but just not that!
And that child grew up to be Meatloaf. He tries to stop the big guy, but he might as well be trying to talk him into dressing like a normal person, and gets an ass whooping for trying to resist. He explains this sand steamer thing is his dad's, and he's not going to let this guy destroy it. So the boss prepares to blow the kid's brains out, but that's when Vash pops in, performing the daring rescue before tossing the two of them out the window. The boss is quite pleased. Anyone who is skilled and ridiculous is going to be fun to fight, while the kid is not appreciating the harrowing form of this rescue. In our final moments, Merle and Millie jump a pair of guards, and the big bad decides to motivate the captain so that he'll do the steering.
Shit! You are sick!
Eesh, that's no way to talk to a lady. I think he means you, boss. Well, the captain has no choice, steering them towards their doom, leading us into our next episode.